Hello, and welcome to another episode of Breadcast Gaming Talk. Keeping with the flow of discussing the Legend of Zelda games that I play, this time I am talking about a classic game from the GameCube era that also got a re-release on the Wii U, and that is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Now, this is the third Legend of Zelda game that I have played, the other two being Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, both the Nintendo DS Legend of Zelda games, but are part of this same timeline as The Wind Waker. Wind Waker is the game that actually starts the timeline that Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are in, and yes, I know I played these games out of order, and no, I don't really care that I did. Now, I played the GameCube version of Wind Waker on an emulator called Dolphin, which is an emulator for GameCube and Wii games. I won't spend too much time on the emulator, but yes, you can play Wii games on PC, and it works well. And you'll see that since I have plans to play through Twilight Princess in this same manner. On to the game! I'm going to start with the good things, which is usually the hardest thing to talk about in these discussions, oddly enough. The combat is really nice and fluid. It's simple and standard for a 3D Legend of Zelda game, with the Z targeting to lock on and then press one button for basic attack, another for jump attack, and one for holding the button down for doing a spin attack. The islands you go to all look really nice, and the major ones all have theme music to accompany them, and they fit really well. One thing I really like about the Wind Waker is that it is a much easier and more relaxing Legend of Zelda game. Now, I said earlier that this is my third Legend of Zelda game, but what I really mean is that it's the third one that I have completed. I have Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D, and A Link Between Worlds, but I've only barely started Ocarina of Time, and it has frustrated me to no end with the little bit that I have played. I don't even really have anything truly negative to say about the Wind Waker, but there are some aspects of it that are mildly annoying in a very tedious way. Most of it is due to travel. You have this boat, but sometimes it takes forever to get anywhere before you get the song that lets you use cyclones to be able to kind of fast travel to select location. Speaking of songs, one thing that is annoying is that there are quite a few songs to use, and I have trouble remembering how the songs go. Thankfully, I could most of the time remember the name and just look up the song and see how it goes. But still, Spirit Tracks had a little selection on the bottom screen of the DS to show you all the songs and how they go. And I think Ocarina of Time has something similar to that as well. Now, the most annoying thing about the game is the pacing of it. The first 3/4 of the game goes by at a pretty good pace. Not too fast, not too slow. This is the half where you do normal Zelda stuff, like temples, of which the game has them, but not in the typical fashion. You have the Forsaken Fortress, then you hit up Dragon Roost Cavern, and then the Forbidden Woods, and then the Tower of the Gods. After that, there are two temples, classic-ish temples, being the Earth Temple and Ice Temples, which are really just use this item to get another item from the other temple. That kind of thing. The last quarter of the game is where things get really drawn out and tedious, and that's because of the Triforce Quest. Anyone who has played any Legends of Zelda game knows what this is, but I think it's kind of different in each game. So for the Wind Waker, it goes like this. First, you have to get 8 Triforce charts scattered around. This takes a while for many reasons. One is because of the really slow travel speed of the boat, even using the Cyclone fast travel. Some of the charts have requirements to be able to get them. For example, there's one on an island that I like to call Cabana Island. There's a little cabana that you have to go inside of, but if you try to, the door will say that you are not its master and basically go the fuck away. So what do? Well, you have to go back to Windfall and talk to the school teacher because she has the deed to the cabana. Well, how do you get the deed to the cabana? Well, Teacher Lady likes joy pendants, and you will have to bring her 20 of them. Now, if this is your first time bringing pendants to her, she'll take one and tell you to come back with 20. This is what happened to me, so I literally had to leave the island, go get one more, and come back. Very annoying. Finally, once you've done that and given her the 20 pendants, she will give you the deed to the cabana and tell you that it is yours now. And then you go back to the island where the cabana is, and you go inside, do the small puzzle, and get the Triforce chart. Outset Island is another reason for this part of the game dragging. To get the Triforce chart on Outset Island, you have to go through the Savage Labyrinth. This is a very combat-heavy part where you go through multiple levels of different enemies that you should be already familiar with. You have to go through like 30 levels of enemies before you get the Triforce chart, and it's like every 10 levels you get a spot where you can refill your hearts and stuff, but none of the enemies before each 10th level drop hearts or anything, so bring a lot of potions with you. Other than those minor so then after that, once you actually get the 8 charts, you have to take them to Tingle. And you have to pay Tingle about 400 rupees to decipher each chart. Yeah, that's a lot of rupees to decipher a chart. And then, once you have them all deciphered, now you have to go and collect each of the 8 shards of the Courage Triforce piece. And those are, in different areas. And of course, one of them is on Outset Island. Yes, you get to do the Savage Labyrinth again! And this time you have to get all the way through it. All levels completed. And I had trouble with this because the first time I tried to get through it, I got like 3 levels away from finishing it. And then I had to go back to Forest Haven and stock up on potions and go back and do it again. Other than those minor annoyances, the game is by far my favorite Legend of Zelda game. I really like the simplistic and nice looking graphics, and that the game isn't too difficult either. Sure, it drags in the end, but it doesn't make the game bad. It just kind of makes it a little bit annoying to have to do that. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is a good and fun game. That's all I have to say, so if you want to add to the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.